You are now listening to the voice of horror.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. Make sure the kids are safe at home, cause you're headed to the Night Watch Zone.
You think it's over now? You're wrong.
All aboard the night train.
It's over, Prime.
This is the siege. I'm a man of my word.
Hey. Yeah. Dead or alive, consider this home. No killing the vibe in the Night Watch Zone. Xenomorphs hype when the lights come on. Hit like and subscribe and the show might blow. Go viral, no COVID, it's a spiral. Emotions, hand on the Bible. Only go sign on the dopest your vitals. Better tune in, yeah, you know it's vital. From Schwarzenegger to Kane Hodder, Corey G down to Harry Potter. Shit, Sigourney Weaver, love the Night Watch Zone. Come with me to the Night Watch Zone.
There are two things a man should never run from, even if they cost him his life.
Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are on a Thursday night. I'm here again. I was here this morning and had a blast with one of my great friends. And tonight, no different. I have a really special guest for you guys in the chat. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. But let's get this party started without any further ado to introduce my special guest. I love her channel. I'm so glad to get a chance to talk to her. We have ReAnimate Her coming on in. Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm absolutely great. I'm ready to rock. And like we were, talking about backstage, this is an exciting thing for me. And I'm so thankful that you are going to spend a little bit of time with us tonight.
I am excited to be here.
All right. Very, very cool. So let me just real quick say hi to the folks in the chat. Let's see. We've got Denisha's in the chat. What's going on, Denisha? Good to see you. Good to see you. Mitch is in the chat. Welcome. Mitch the Ripper. I like that. That's pretty cool. All right. Philip, what's going on? Good to see you, Philip. We have got the General is in the chat. Our good friend Val from Val's Views. And you guys know the rules. Be cool in the chat. Make sure you hit the like button, because if you don't, some things might happen and it might end up like this.
And you don't stop, sure shot, go out to the parking lot, and you get in your car and you drive real far and you drive all night, then you see a light.
There it is. What's up to Nanette as well? Good to see you. All right. Let's see. Dan, our good friend Dan, Mr. Dan, that is, in the chat. What's going on, Dan? Good to see you as well. And Dean's in the house. What's up, Dean? David's in the house. What's up, David? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing good. All right. Let's see. Zachary. All right. Welcome. I'm saying rah. I love it. I love that. That's awesome. All right, guys. Well, we are going to get going. This is going to be really, really fun. So, Kat, first of all, let's start with you and your channel, and what you present there. I know for me, I found your channel, gosh, I don't know. It's definitely been like a year and a half. And I came across your channel on just a whim. And I was just like, wow, this is a really cool vibe. I really dig, her presentation, her style. She's knowledgeable. And it's just been a really fun thing to like keep track of some of the stuff that you've been doing, as much as I can, that is. But how about you explain it to these folks? Because they need to know about ReAnimate Her. They really do.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. On my YouTube channel, I do horror movie reviews. We do discussions. I do deep dives. On my live stream, which I do a little bit of live streaming on my YouTube, I do my interviews on there. On my Twitch channel, I do a lot of indie horror games. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre that is dropping tomorrow. That will be life for me. I'm a huge gamer. Uh, so I do a lot of indie horror games, and then I do some live reviews. And my show, Coffee Chat of Horrors, is a live deep dive, and that season's going to be starting here in October, the new season of CCOH. And we deep dive into horror movies and TV shows. And then we have guests like you on Coffin Chat. So if you like horror, I'm your gal.
Yes, yes. I'll never forget one of the first times I seen one of your streams, and you had this little way you introduced yourself, and I was just like, I'm just digging it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Which one? I've had so many.
Well, I don't want to do it because I can't do it any justice
Was it
whatsoever.
Hello,
But
my creepies?
I love that one too. I love that one too. Well, you know what it reminded me of, and this obviously might have been, on purpose or maybe probably not on purpose, but watching a lot of the different hosts and hostesses of the old days,
Yes.
and I used to love that so much. I mean, whether you're talking, and so many, obviously, like Elvira and so many,
Oh, yeah.
but I loved that, and I think for me, that was one thing about your channel that I really I don't know, I just gravitated towards it because it felt like I was going back to, I don't know, like a time when just movies were about fun, and about
Yeah.
community and being open-minded and creative. That's the big word, because I think that you're so creative, but man, you're a horror movie fan. We know that. So we got to talk about movies.
hmm
When you look back at your journey as a horror fan, how did it start? Where did it start? Why did it start?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, before I really knew what a horror movie was, my aunt was watching me. She was babysitting me. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and she
Mhm,
was watching a movie called Friday the 13th on a old rabbit-eared TV. So we're going back in time,
mhm,
and obviously. I really didn't know what was going on the screen. I was left in there. My aunt was telling me this story when I was also a little bit older, around 12 years old. So she was telling me that I sat there and watched the whole thing while she kept running out of the room because she was scared. And I was like, oh, maybe that's where my love for horror came from. But it
yeah,
wasn't until a couple of years older, my grandmother started introducing me to a lot of the black and white horror. This is where
mm,
I found out about Vincent Price and before they were fully the Universal monsters, Dracula, Wolfman. So my grandmother started that love for me. And then as
mm,
I grew up, that's exactly what I went to. I gravitated to. I was not a popular kid growing up. I'm very introverted, and a
mm,
lot of my friends were, horror movies.
mhm,
Fangoria magazine. At the age of 12, I had a newspaper route, and I would go to the store, any of the bodegas or deli, and go grab myself a Fangoria magazine. Back then, when you could afford them from a
right.
paper route,
That's
we're
right.
going
Those were the
into the
days.
80s. Yeah, they are the days, I tell you. And then started video rentals and picking those up, and my love for horror just kept growing and growing and growing, and here we are.
Wow, very, very cool. For the folks that have been around here, they've heard me tell, some of my story, and it's very similar, being
Nice.
around, an older relative who either on purpose or maybe not on purpose had horror movies playing in the house, and you kind of are a part of that environment and it piques your curiosity. Now, one thing, and I want to, because I'm going to be all over the place, first of all, so you have to forgive me. But
Not a
one
problem.
interesting, because I remember hearing about this, and I'm telling you, and I kid you not, it was like we have some parallel things going on because my first horror movie was Friday the 13th as well. and it was the one that got me on this journey. So for me, I'm a huge Friday 13th fan. I got my box set right there.
Same.
But I did see other movies before that, or at least was around. And, like you said, the Universal monsters, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, Night of the Living Dead, George Romero. I mean, I saw that at my grandmother's house, and wow, so I just think it's really cool when you have folks that have parallel or similar beginnings. It's just really, really cool. Real quick, my good friend Dan in the chat was saying, I watched your Frankenstein video and I opened and played with my figures too. There you go.
Nice.
He really loved your Frankenstein video. Very cool.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching it. I love Frankenstein. That is my horror monster go-to. He's who I grew up with, and I just love him.
Nice, nice. Now, here's a question off of that. Do you ever, have any desire or want for them to revisit the Frankenstein mythology in a modern film? I mean, I know they've done that in different ways, and of course, and we'll get to that. Maybe one of the most famous ways, kind of as a tie-in to your name. But do
Yeah.
you ever, like nowadays, because they just had the last voyage of the Demeter that came out, that obviously is telling that one chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula. But do you think that they could do justice to a modern day Frankenstein?
I think if they had the right director with the right vision, I think anything is possible.
Hmm.
I think Frankenstein needs more love. I mean, really, if you think about it, we've had Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and that was how long ago?
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
really haven't had too many Frankenstein films. I mean, you can take the zombie genre technically. Frankenstein is reanimated, hence the
Mhm.
movies like ReAnimate Her and all of that jazz. I think with the right director, with the right vision, they could make a really good. I don't want a remake of the original Frankenstein because you just can't do that.
Right.
It had a class to it that we just can't capture anymore in this day and age.
Good
Um,
point.
but I think with the right director, I think anything is possible.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very cool. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. My good friend, Two Boys and Their Scary Pops, is in the house. What's up, Eric? Saying she commands the horde. Welcome, reanimate her. Right. All right. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. And Denisha's keeping track, saying go and hit the like button if you haven't yet. I love it. Thank you, Denisha. Nanette, also a fan of movies like Night of the Living Dead, talking about her grandmother got her started in horror movies. Very, very cool. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt at all. Now when we talk and hey, what's up? Neil's in the house. Neon Black Reviews. What's up, brother? Good to see you. All right.
He moves, by the way. He's animatronic.
Okay. All right. So let's go down that road. If you want to, whether it's just telling us the story behind it, behind getting him, or maybe just giving us a peek. Because I love that leather face. It
Do
is
you want to see?
awesome.
I have the technology to show you guys how he works. I can turn him on if you guys want.
I'm
So,
all for it. I'm all for it.
okay. One moment. I will be right back.
Okay. This is awesome. Oh my God. She is very gracious to do this, guys. And by the way, if you guys have any questions that you want to throw at Kat, feel free to put them in the live chat and we will try to get to as many of them as we can. We will. Neil, like, do it. Oh, look at that. Wow. Oh my gosh. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
Oh.
Wow. It is fantastic. Oh my gosh. Wow. Neil, Neil, now you know what you got to do. That's what you got to get next, bro. That's what you got to get next. You got to catch up now. Wow.
There we
That was
go.
so cool. That was so cool. Oh my gosh. Wow.
I
And these
love him.
guys, yeah, that's awesome. These guys in the audience are loving it. Oh my gosh. Very, very cool. Very cool. And it's funny too, because we just were talking about Leatherface the other night. We had well, actually, yeah, 2 nights ago we had our little Battle World face off with TCM 74 against Scream 96, and it was a hoot.
Interesting.
It was, yes, it was interesting. It definitely was. But that is so cool. Now, are you a huge fan of TCM 2?
I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. Dennis Hopper was
Mhm.
awesome. It's also where we get to meet Chop Top and Leatherface falls in love for the
Right?
first time. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my second favorite franchise and it's my
Okay.
second most collected. Yeah, I've got a lot of it.
Wow. Okay. Now I didn't know that. That is so cool. Oh my gosh. Wow. All right. Foreign horrors in the chat. What's up? Our good buddy Ed's in the house. And Denisha is being so amazing, putting the link in for
Thank you.
Reanimate Her. And for you guys that are here, if you have not subscribed to Reanimate Her, just click the link. It only takes 2 seconds. Make sure you subscribe to Kat's channel. You will not be disappointed. And I also have the link to her channel in the description. So
I
right.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's an interesting, at least in my opinion, and I'll ask you for yours, of course, but it's an interesting franchise because I absolutely love it. But there have been, some of the ups and downs. And I mean,
Yeah.
look, there's more timelines in the TCM franchise than almost any other major horror. I thought Halloween had a lot of timelines. TCM is crazy.
I think TCM has the most convoluted timeline
Yes.
out of all the villains. Texas
Yes.
Chainsaw Massacre has the most convoluted franchise.
Yeah, man. I mean, we got sequels to the original, we got offshoots, we've got different family members that show up through multiple movies. It's like, guys, come on, but it is kind of fun too, because you don't know what to expect. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So like when you're watching a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, man, you just gotta buckle up. You really, really do.
that
Um,
you do. Enjoy the ride.
yeah, it's crazy. Now, what did you think of the TCM that came out just last year? Was it
I
on Netflix?
loved it. I loved it. I
Okay.
also got to meet Mark Burnham. He played
Really?
Leatherface. I hung out
Yeah.
with him all weekend. I got to drink
Wow.
moonshine with him. I was in friggin' heaven. I met him back in
Wow.
June at the Calgary HorrorCon.
Mm-hmm.
And I do the interview panels for the Calgary HorrorCon,
Nice.
and I welcomed him into Calgary on Thursday night,
Mm,
and I spoke to him. He's amazing. He's so humble. But I
nice.
loved Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix. I thought Fede Alvarez did a great job making it a direct sequel, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, technically, Leatherface should have died in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he has mortal wounds and he's
That's right.
technically not supernatural because there's nowhere in his timeline that brings up any kind of supernatural, unlike Michael Myers, where it's the thorn, right?
Right.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I like it. It's a horror movie logic. I mean, you just got to let it roll.
You do.
I love the gore in 2022 Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, they
My
didn't
favorite
they didn't
scene
play
was the
around.
snapping of the forearm in the van. I'm just
Oh,
like,
yes.
yes. And then the
Wow.
guy, what's his name? Richter, Raptor. I don't know. His
Yes.
name starts with an R, I
Yep.
think. And they
Mhm.
just like take his leg. Oh,
Yeah.
I was eyegasm the whole time.
Nice. That is awesome, man. Well, it's funny because, a lot of people in the community, I mean, we talked about it here on the channel. A lot of people in the community that weren't they were kind of lukewarm on it. Not everybody, but there was
Mm-hmm.
there was a there was a section of people. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking to myself, because obviously we knew that there was some production situations behind the scenes. They're trying to make it work and blah blah blah, and sometimes that can give people a negative vibe from the get-go even before they watch the movie. But I went into it and just said, hey, let's just see what happens. There were some things I was kind of like, okay. But overall, as a horror movie, as a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, I loved it. There was gore, there was an actual chainsaw massacre,
Yes, there
and
was.
I mean, like I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. And it was funny because when I was talking about it, I was marveling at how much I did enjoy it because there was, like I said, there was a cloud of like I said, negativity or what have you over it. But I
Yep.
hope I hope they can, continue it because that was kind of the idea is that they were going to do, some more stuff. So I
Fingers
hope so.
crossed.
I hope so. I really, really do. Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was well done. I know it got a lot of slack and people hated it, and I was just like, I don't see the point of hating on a horror movie because
Hmm.
it's art, right? And art is
Right.
subjective. I don't
That's
really
right.
like to tell people that a movie sucks. It just wasn't for me.
Hmm.
But
Right.
TCM, yeah, I thought it was great. I love the
Yeah.
way Mark Burnham actually portrayed Leatherface, the way he
Yes.
stood, his chainsaw dance, his just everything
Yeah.
about him. He was able to soak that in from watching the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I
Hmm.
thought that was pretty awesome.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. Our good friend Eric from Two Boys and Their Scary Pops has a question saying, Kat, interested on your thoughts about Pamela, and I knew he was going to ask about Friday the 13th, Pamela and Jason Voorhees being the victims in the
Oh,
franchise.
you bet your sweet ass they're the victims in the franchise. I mean, can you think about it? Think about being a parent. I'm a parent. I have two spawns, but if my kid was to die from bullying because he was at a camp and I was working, those camp counselors should have been watching. I would be a lunatic mother as well.
There you
I'd be
go.
murdering everybody's ass because that was my baby.
Right,
You just killed
right.
my baby. And then, poor Jason, of course, he's probably lurking in the shadows in the forest there and he sees his mom's head get lopped off.
Yeah.
Now, you can't blame Pamela for going on a rampage because she is the victim here. The
Hmm.
camp
Hmm.
counselors were not doing their job. He was being
Right.
bullied by little asshole children and he drowned. So mom thinks, oh my God, my kid is dead, not knowing that he's like lurking in the bushes.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, she is totally, totally. And I still, even after part two and part three, I still think he's the victim because people keep coming back and disturbing the place where his
Right.
mother was murdered. And she
Yeah.
was murdered.
Hmm.
Mhm.
There
Alice
you go.
got what she deserved. Friday the 13th
Wow.
is my number one franchise. I
Yes.
love Jason.
I do too, man. It's such a fun franchise. It's really I mean, when you think about how many movies in the franchise there are, and it's very consistent. Like I can watch, especially like the first seven, and I don't even blink. I'm just like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And obviously I have a soft spot for eight, because I was at a certain age when it came out, and everybody's like, Jason's going to New York. Oh my God, people are losing their shit, and I'm like, yeah, he is. And we rented it from the video store, sitting down with a couple of my buddies, and we were like, yeah, yeah, we're on a boat. And then 15 minutes later, we're like, yeah, yeah, we're still on a boat. And then 15 minutes later, we're like, yeah, wow, we're still on a
We're
boat.
still on a goddamn boat.
When are we going to New York? But I still love it. I still love it, man. It's great. So, um, anyways, my good buddy Strange Monkey's in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Saying, I will say the TCM ending was very satisfying. Yes, yes, it was good.
I I personally would have loved to see everybody dead. That's my thing though. I
There you
mean, I
go.
love the cutting of the head off. I thought that was chef's kiss there. And I would
Yes,
have liked to see the other final girl die as well. I'm all for
yeah.
no final people. That's my goal. Like every time I watch a horror movie, I'm please kill everybody. Please kill everybody. Because if you think about it, you know, Jason Voorhees, Juggernaut of Death, Michael Myers,
Hmm.
Ghostface. These are not your, run average mill of just, I'm going to go kill somebody. They
Right.
got a plan. And the
That's right.
fact that anybody is left alive just is meh to me. I think everybody should die.
I like it. Yeah, that's great. Oh my gosh. Uh Danny's in the house too. What's up, Danny? Saying I really enjoyed TCM 2022, but I did not like the ending in the car. It just didn't satisfy me. I really enjoyed the main characters, and have them just go out the way they did was very poor judgment. Oh, okay. So that's the other
Hmm.
side of the fence. Interesting. Interesting.
I didn't like any of the main characters. I honestly didn't. I don't know why we have to try to make our final people or anybody relate to anybody. I'm there to see
Hmm.
blood, guts, and ass all over the screen. I really don't want them to live.
Yeah.
So I would have to say I liked nobody besides I liked the lady who played Sally. I thought she did a really good job of being that part.
Hmm.
And her character is more realistic than Laurie Strode's character in the new Halloween franchise, where she becomes Sarah Connor. Where,
That's a
I
good
see
point.
Jamie Lee Curtis turns into Sarah Connor, where Sally, you could see her. She's a ranger. She's a Texas Ranger. You can see her coming out of that. She jumps out of the window in Texas Chainsaw and she's running for her life. She's the only one to
Yeah.
survive. And you can
Hmm.
see her hunting down Leatherface,
Hmm.
more realistic than it is Laurie Strode, because we've seen in the Halloween franchise, Laurie was a victim. She was the
Right.
girl next door. She didn't really have much of a backbone. She did survive.
Hmm.
However, you remember in H2O, she was an alcoholic because she couldn't live with the fact of Michael being around. You see how scared
Right.
she was. Her
Hmm.
house was not Fort Knox. She wasn't Sarah
Hmm.
Connor.
Hmm.
Terminator wasn't coming after her. And then all of a sudden, this new franchise, she's friggin' Sarah Connor. I was just like, I'm
Now,
opinionated about that.
well, no, that's good, man. Because I think that one thing I do appreciate is hearing different opinions. And one of my good buddies that I was actually talking to in an interview just the other week, my good buddy John from Grande's Graveyard,
Mm.
he hates Halloween Kills. I mean, with a passion. Now, I enjoyed it, because Michael was doing his thing, man. He was killing people. He was messing people up right and left. So for
Yeah.
me, it was a fun time. But I do understand where it can be a divisive thing, and especially for OG fans, like
Oh,
fans of
yeah.
Carpenter's film, which I am. To me, I still think Carpenter's film is the best. Like it
Oh,
really, really is.
100%.
But like I said, I'm also the type of person that I love watching all these movies time and time again. I don't mind sequels as long as they don't bore me or whatever. So, but
Yeah.
with the new Halloween trilogy, other than Laurie, what did you think of the way that Michael was portrayed, or any of the other characters, or anything in
Mm.
particular that comes to your mind about them?
I like the way Michael was played. James Jude Courtney is amazing. I got to hang out with him back in June. I did his panel for the
Ooh,
HorrorCon. He's an awesome,
nice.
awesome person.
Isn't he? Oh my
Oh
God,
yeah,
man.
I
He is
ate
so
breakfast
humble.
with him. We had oh yeah, I had coffee with him. It was a great time.
Hmm.
I like the way he portrayed Michael. I have
Hmm.
no issues with the way he portrayed Michael. For myself, I don't care for the new universe.
Hmm.
I dislike 2018. I thought Halloween Kills is the best out of all three of them, because Halloween Ends was like Christine. Basically Christine with a Michael Myers mask.
That's right. Yep.
And Kills was for me the best one out of all three. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I don't tell people not to watch it.
Right, right.
However, I think he did the shape really well. I think he
Mm,
played his what Michael is known for is being the boogeyman. Is that what I've
right.
seen in the shadow? Did I really see that? And then you investigate and then you die.
Mhm.
That's what made Michael scary. In
Right.
2018, they didn't make Michael scary. They made him
Mhm.
more like Jason Voorhees, where Jason was always in your face, jugging out of death. He didn't creep around the corners. He didn't hide in the shadows. He just
Mhm.
murdered you. Where
Mhm.
Michael, his scare factor came in because he was creepy. He creeped in the shadows.
Right.
You didn't know if he was coming or what the hell was going on. And then he got you last minute. The new
Mhm.
universe made him more like Jason, which don't get me
That
wrong.
is
I
true.
loved the violence. I loved it.
Right. Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, hey, I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways that people look at it, and it's always interesting to hear that, but I do agree they did kinda err towards something that's more Jason-like
Yeah.
rather than, Michael's original mythology. And of course, they played around with that throughout the whole franchise of the
Oh, yeah.
movies. And part of that was, in my opinion, well, actually, no, I've heard some of the filmmakers say that they basically were trying to keep up with what everyone else was doing, namely Jason. And of course, when you think about Freddy was so popular and
Mhm.
such a pop icon that, I
Oh
think that
yeah.
they were feeling the pressure to like really make, these movies, more grandiose and more in your face, whereas that's so different than the 1978 Halloween,
Oh
but
yeah.
yeah, I
But
mean,
even in
it's
the
just one of those
chapters of
things.
Halloween, Michael was always the boogeyman. He was
Mhm.
never the juggernaut of death. He was never in your face murdering. He was
Mhm.
always cold, calculated. Where
Mhm.
Jason is not cold and calculated, he's cold and just he is the death bringer.
Right.
Where in the universe, the new universe of Halloween, it they really made him more like Jason, and he doesn't have to be because Michael is iconic in himself. Like
Right.
is I mean, besides Peeping Tom and Psycho being the original slashers,
Mhm.
he is the start. Oh, and the town that dreaded sundown and Black
Oh,
Christmas, but
yes.
he
Mhm.
is the first like full on masked villain that we get to see in
Mhm.
in in mainstream. But I mean,
Yep.
obviously we have Psycho and we've got all the others, but he's the first one that we see like this. So he
Yes.
has that. You don't really need to beef him up or do anything because he has that for him already. It's built
Mm.
in.
Good point. Good point. Well said. All right.
Hmm.
Very cool. And we got a couple questions here too that are coming
Ooh.
from the chat. Nanette was saying, question for Kat, what got you into doing YouTube?
Well, that is a good question. When I first started doing live streaming, I started out on a platform called Mixer, which is no longer around.
Mhm.
And I was looking for another platform to make my content on, whether live or recorded. And then
Mhm.
I've always had a YouTube channel, but I never did anything with it.
Mm.
So then I started slowly doing things on YouTube and I still continued my live. I went over to Twitch instead. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring something a little different, a little bit more of my horror love and put it onto YouTube because I think there's a community for that. And so
Right.
that's what I started doing. And I honestly had no idea where the hell I was going with my YouTube channel. Some days I still have no idea what the hell I'm doing with it. I'm just here to have fun and share my love for horror.
Yeah, yeah. That's very, very cool. I love that. Awesome. Thanks for that question, Nanette. That was a good one.
Yes, thank you.
That was one that I was going to be asking too. So that is a good question. Uh, Eric is asking, saying, Kat, if you could own three pieces of horror memorabilia from any
Oh.
three movies, what are you picking?
I would definitely love to have the original Evil Dead Necronomicon.
That's exactly what I was just thinking in my head. That is so funny. That was the first thing that popped into my head. That's go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good. That is definitely one thing that I would love. Pamela Voorhees' sweater because
Ooh.
there's you can't find that sweater. I mean, I would love to have the actual worn sweater.
Jeez, I wonder
And
where that thing is.
right, I don't know where the hell that is. Uh, and let's see. There's so many that I want. I'm just trying to see what's my top one. Uh, well, I'd probably have to go with the 19. Well, I have to go with original Texas Chainsaw Massacre chainsaw. I think that would be
Ooh.
even part 3 chainsaw. Yeah.
Ooh. Oh,
Mm,
okay. Wow, you went with part 3. Look at you. All right, very cool. Now, part 3 does not get enough love or
no.
shine or even just discussion. And when I had asked you about part 2, in my mind, I was like, man, I got to ask her about part 3 as well. What are your thoughts for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3? Because, like I said, not many people even talk about it, to be honest.
I enjoy them. I like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. I mean, it gets a little weird as you get past 3, honestly, because 3 was
Yep.
supposed to be a direct sequel as well to the
Right.
original,
Right.
and it doesn't get a lot of love. Neither does New Generation. The remake
Mhm.
was great. I enjoy
Yes.
the franchise. I know it's convoluted. I know it's
Mhm.
crazy, and we have two families, right? We have the Hewitt family, the Sawyer family, and technically you have the Slaughter family, which
Mhm.
is the same as the Sawyer family because in the beginning of the feed of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you don't know about the Slaughter until later on, but
Right.
I like 3.
Okay.
I
All
thought it was
right.
well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, it's funny because I had seen it when I was a kid, and I must not have seen it a lot of times because I didn't really remember everything about it.
Hmm.
And we were talking about it on the channel, I don't know, maybe about a year and a half or maybe even 2 years ago. And I was like, man, I got to watch this again before we review it and talk about it. And I watched it with that cloud hanging over me because I know a lot of people just kind of didn't talk about it or weren't very high on it. And I was like, I like it. I mean, it was great. I mean, I don't it wasn't as good as the first one, and I don't think I
Yeah.
enjoyed it more than 2 because 2 is very quirky and I love it.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought 3 was pretty good in its own right, and it was I mean, you had Ken Foree in it, and I was like, "Man, I'm such a big
Yeah.
fan of Ken Foree, Dawn of the Dead and, From Beyond and so many other things." So, I enjoyed Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, I really did, so
Yeah. I,
cool.
I think the only one that I really did not care for in the whole chapter is I believe it came out in 2017 or 2017 to 2019. I seen it once was it's Leatherface.
Okay.
Um, and I really didn't care for that one just
Mhm.
because they changed the whole mythos behind the Sawyer family, and then they
Right.
they trick you because you think it's the one heavy kid that kind of looked like he could be, Leatherface
Yep.
and a
That's
younger
right.
Leatherface, but
Yep.
I mean it was okay. It's just my
Yeah.
least favorite.
Yeah, I definitely think that's one of my least favorites too. And it was funny because, when I watched it, and I was late to watching it because I just hadn't heard many good things about it. And I was watching, I was like, some typical stuff in there. But that little swerve that they pulled with the heavier set kid, it kind of felt cheap. It was kind of like,
Right.
they knew what they were doing. They knew we all thought that was Leatherface. I mean, don't just try to pull the rug out at the end just to pull the rug out on us. You know what I mean? It felt kind of cheap, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's low on my list as well. So, all right, we got this is my design in the house. What's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Saying awesome background. Any chance you have a collection tour on your channel? Ooh,
I do, but it's old. I just moved in, so my place that I have right here. This is called my murder basement, and I just started building my murder basement. It's not supposed to be pretty or fancy. It's supposed to be
Mm.
scary, bloody. Like I'm gonna bring you down here and murder you. So.
You said that in such a nice way too.
It's the truth. We have my morgue is right there. Here, you know what? Let me quickly show you guys. We have that technology. So let me
That's so
quickly show
cool.
you. So right there is my morgue. We've
Wow.
got a open shelf for you. That is my collection there. And then
Wow.
excuse the lights because it's going to get bright. And I'm still in the process of putting my collection up.
Hmm.
I have so much, and my basement is an unfinished basement. So
Oh,
I'm still
wow.
working on it. But that is what I have going on there.
Very cool.
Thanks. The pegboard is going to be taken down and painted black.
Mhm.
And I'm going to be having somewhat of a white outline of my hatchet, my machete, because I've got some murder weapons. You can't have a murder basement without murderous tools.
That's right.
And I'm in the process of creating my dead bodies. You won't really get to see it on screen because it's more for my aesthetic. I'm
Mhm.
creating a couple of heads that I can hang from my ceiling, and I'm in the process of making a 59-inch body wrapped in bloody gauze so I can hang upside down. Um,
Wow.
yeah, you're not really going to be able to see it, on camera when I do my live streams and stuff, but it's
Mhm.
more for me because I
Mhm.
have lots of things that I have shrunken heads that hang from the ceiling over here and some bats, but um,
Nice.
yeah.
That's very cool. Very creative. I love it. I absolutely love it. Well,
Thanks.
thank you for showing the tour. That's so cool. Seriously. I did
And
not
that's only
I
a
did,
small portion. I still have all back behind that wall and 2 levels. I have a 3-level house and it's just
Wow.
filled with my collectibles, horror stuff.
Wow, that is so awesome. Oh my gosh. Now here's a question. I know it's probably a stupid question, but do you think at some point in the future Do you ever plan to show any more of it as a tour or mini tour or maybe
Oh
pictures or
yeah,
what have you?
I
Okay,
do.
cool.
My on my YouTube channel, I have for my members, they get to pick. I do a video of my collection. So I walk around my house and I do a video of it. And I ask
Mhm,
my members if what do they want me to share with them. They get to
mhm,
pick my collectible that I show on camera, and that's how we got the Frankenstein monster and my Living Dead dolls.
mhm.
My members pick what I talk about, and my channel's been on a little bit of a hiatus because I was on vacation and
Mhm.
moving things into all this stuff. But
Okay.
I show them around and they pick something, and then I take it and I talk to them about it because each of my collectibles has a story behind it. I've been
Mm,
collecting for, oh Lord, over I'm going on probably like 25 years now. One of my
wow.
oldest is that Michael Myers mask. He is
Mhm.
definitely like he's probably about 26 years old.
Wow. Awesome. Very cool. Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
Thanks.
Now I'm thinking to myself, man, I gotta see some more of the tour and stuff. That's really, really cool, man. And by the way, for you guys, and I didn't even think to say that, but for you guys that are checking out Kat's channel and subbing to her channel, also think about doing channel memberships because channel memberships are a great way to help support content creators and keep the lights on and help us do all these wonderful things and bring you guys in the behind the scenes aspect of the channel. So yeah, very cool. Right.
Hmm.
Neil saying if I could get the bone couch from TCM 74, don't think it wouldn't be in my living room.
Oh,
I know,
hell
man.
yeah.
Right.
Hell
That's
yeah. And
awesome,
that
man.
could be made. It really could. I mean, you
Yes.
could make it out of foam and PVC and be
Mm-hmm.
able to, like, I don't have a bone chair, but I do have
Mm-hmm.
some bone wind chimes made out of real bones. However,
Ooh.
I wanted to make a throne out of bones. And obviously, I can't go around murdering people and taking their bones. So I was like, how can I do that without getting in trouble?
Right.
Uh, PVC, some wood, and foam that you can carve. So you can basically carve it into a rough shape of a fibia, tibia, and things
Yeah.
like that. And you can kind of like do it that off-white paint, off-white paint, because
Mm-hmm.
bones technically aren't white unless they are fully bleached and really clean.
Right.
And so you could do exactly what TCM did,
Mm-hmm.
honestly, because that's what they
Wow.
did.
Yeah, that's very, very true. So Neil, you got some work to do, brother. You got some work to do.
I'd love
I
to
know.
see it.
I know. Me too, man. Seriously. And he's the type of person that would do it too. Uh Dan saying I would pick the Gillman costume from the creature from the Black Lagoon. Awesome. Awesome. Love it.
Yes.
Love
It's a
it.
good movie.
It is, man. It's a classic. This is my design saying Murder Basement. Love it. Yeah, I do too, man. I love that.
Thanks.
I've never heard anyone call their place that. That's great. I love it.
Yeah, anyone
Um,
asks me, and I'm like, "No, my murder basement."
you're right.
They're like, "What?"
That's that's cool, man. It's really cool. Neil, I don't have any crafting skills, so I'd have to just use the real thing and hope I didn't get caught. There you go.
That's a lot of
Uh,
bones, my friend. A lot
it
of
is.
bones.
Right? So true. So true. Let's see. Eric was saying, Kat, what do you feel is the main difference in horror movies of old to horror movies of today?
Oh, CGI.
Mm,
And I mean,
mhm,
each era brought some boundary breaking development, right? Technology.
mhm.
Every era did. You had the
Yep.
1930s, and those were very basic times. They didn't really have a lot besides painting things, and they do a lot of painting and put it in front of the lens of the camera.
Yep.
Count Dracula's castle and Bela Lugosi's Dracula was actually painted on glass, and it was put in front of the camera that was recording it.
Mhm,
I think also the class is lost from yesteryear to now, and
mhm,
what I mean by class is it's when you see a black and white film. The women had a way about them. The men had a way about them. I know it was a
mm,
lot more conservative back then because you weren't even
mhm.
allowed to see two people in a bed together. And that was
Right.
one of the problems that the Munsters had in their TV show. because that was like a huge no-no back then.
Mhm.
So we do miss a few things that back in the day we don't have now. And I think for me, the black and white films I truly love. I find them more haunting and scary, especially when it comes to. I love the movie The Tingler. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Ooh,
Vincent
yes.
Price, love
Mhm.
it. William Castle was a god of his time back then.
A genius.
Um, yeah, and I loved his Emergo because of him and the House on Haunted Hill is the reason why we have all these Halloween sounds because he was the first one to introduce it in actual movie theaters, and that's why you have that one scene where in the House on Haunted Hill where it's all black and you see the faces.
Yes,
Okay, and the
yes.
sounds that he did in the movie theaters to scare people, and they would actually play those sounds. The whole movie theater would be dark as hell, and those
Mm,
sounds would go off, and it would start scaring people. And he also
mhm.
brought this is what we're missing nowadays. He also brought an actual skeleton. So in the movie theaters where his films played, he had a skeleton for House on Haunted Hill that would actually come down during the scene where you see the skeleton come out of the acid pit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then in the Tingler, he had a puppet on the ground that would go along people's feet and a buzzer underneath the movie
Yes.
theater
To give
seats.
them a shock, yeah.
Yeah, so we miss that, and same thing with The
Yeah.
Exorcist brought it in. We miss a lot of the stuff that old horror used to do and all the
Mm,
practical effects, because
yes.
a lot of it's used by CGI because CGI is cheaper now,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
The skeleton in House on Haunted Hill was a real skeleton. That was a human skeleton because it was
Mm.
cheaper to do the human skeleton than it was to create a skeleton.
Mhm,
So that
mhm.
I think we're missing from the old horror to the new horror. And then we're
Mm.
very aggressive now with horror, which don't get me wrong, I love. I'm a self-proclaimed gore whore,
Mhm.
but we are missing that. Everything is so aggressive now.
Yeah, I think that, to piggyback on that and Eric, thank you so much for that question. That was an awesome
Great
question,
question.
and this is a great answer. But I think to
Oh,
me, I so agree with a lot of that because we don't have as many movies where you can take your time as far as
no.
letting the story develop, letting you get invested into the story and the characters, and so that when the shit hits the fan, I care or I'm at least invested. I want to see, yeah, are they gonna make it, or I hope they don't, But a lot of movies now, it's like boom, 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 every boom, boom, and it's so intense. It's almost like sensory overload, and I
Yeah.
don't, I don't think it has the lasting impact. Now, there are some movies, modern movies that I think have done, a really good job of kind of dialing back a little bit, and some people call it slow burns.
Yeah.
I think that's an okay term, but some things that are considered slow burns, I just say it's a good story,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
and and
yeah.
then and then stuff happens. But I do agree that, things are just they're so fast paced now, and sometimes it's really to the detriment of the story and what it could have been, which is too bad.
Yeah. I have a
Yeah.
feeling, well, my opinion on that is that nowadays we have such a short span of attention. You know,
Yes.
TikTok is 30 seconds and less, right? And people just
Mhm.
scroll through. And I
I
think
know.
a
Yeah.
challenge that movies have nowadays is keeping the person in their seat, wanting to sit
Mhm.
at a movie theater for an hour and 30 to 2 hours, right?
That's right.
Um
That's right.
I that they have to combat with that. And I one other thing is I feel bad for the young generation that didn't grow up in the time that I grew up in
Mhm.
because when you talk to a younger one, and I mean younger, I mean in their early 20s, as I have quite a few of young friends in the horror community, and when I
Mhm.
talk to them about older films, and I mean older like Saw, the very first time Saw came out in 2004, that
Mhm.
was the first time we've seen anything like that in mainstream horror in the movie theater. There is nothing. Cannibal Holocaust never really made it because that got banned. Same thing with numerous other films. This was the first time we actually seen a film like Saw in theaters before Hostel came out. And most of the
Right.
young ones are like, oh, Saw, that's nothing. How is that so like blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, because there was nothing like that in the theaters when that hit. And the same thing with The
Yes.
Exorcist. The Exorcist, people are, oh, that's overrated. The Exorcist is the reason why we have a paranormal activity friggin' subgenre in horror, because without that, you wouldn't have everything else that we have now.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. What do you think about the idea of the new Exorcist movie coming out? Do you think there's a chance that it's going to be good? Are you excited for it? Are you nervous?
I have no expectations. I've learned to go into these films with no expectations. I'm excited to see them try to pull this off.
Mhm.
Um, we'll see what happens. I've heard mixed reviews about the trailer. I just did a trailer reaction to it, so I haven't released that yet. But again, I have zero expectations on most of the new films that come out now. I find
Yeah.
if you go in with no expectations, you're not let down.
Good point. Good point. Good point. Now, what do you think makes The Exorcist such a classic? Because I love that movie so much.
It's the first. It's the first
Yeah.
of its kind. What made the way the first time you see really good and evil, heaven and hell on screen, and so raw. I mean, you
Yeah.
see this 12-year-old girl, how she gets possessed blew my mind with the crucifix scene. I don't know if you
Mhm.
remember that crucifix scene.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
like it brought on something that we've never seen on screen before. Now, mind you, I didn't see The Exorcist in theaters. I wasn't even born in when it came out, but
Mhm.
I did see it later on in my younger years, and I rented it from the VHS shop because it looked cool.
Mhm.
And it scared the shit out of me as a young person back then because I wasn't used to seeing films like that,
Right.
especially possession on that level. It
Mhm.
just brought something raw and scary. And then
Mhm.
the spider scene didn't come out until 20 years after the film was already done anyway, because that wasn't in the theatrical release, the backwoods spider scene.
Yep.
That was, they couldn't get rid of the strings and the CGI. So that was
Mhm.
put in later on after the fact. And that was scary and creepy in itself.
Yes.
So just the way everything was done, it's very iconic. And the fact that we haven't seen anything like that beforehand. If
Mhm.
you can
Yep.
go back and you can go through all the films before, but there's nothing ever like The Exorcist out there.
Yeah, it's true, man. The Exorcist is just it's so special. First time I saw it, it totally rocked my world, no doubt about it. And I still think it's a fantastic film today. And by the way, I have to say, rest in peace to William Friedkin because
Yeah, he
he
just
was
passed
he
away.
yeah, I mean, he was just such a gifted filmmaker, just a really interesting personality as well. He knew his stuff, and he's definitely missed, no doubt about
He
that
had
at
many
all.
great films.
He did. He really, really did. Yes, no doubt. Um, and let's see, we've got double feature podcast is in the chat. What's going on? Good to have you here. Good to have you here. Uh, my favorite thing about the Exorcist trailer is Ellen Burstyn. Yeah, I gotta admit, when I saw Ellen
Yep.
Burstyn come on screen, I had the little bit of the oh, there she is. It was cool. Yeah, no doubt at all.
She she refused to be in any of the other Exorcist films, and she actually agreed to be in this one.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'm hoping that my fingers are crossed, like you said. I'm gonna just go into it with an open mind and just let it happen. And I hope it's good.
mhm.
Um, I think put it this way, and I've said this. I've been on record on my channel because a lot of people are really nervous or already saying this is going to be the worst thing ever put on film. I don't think it's going to be an absolute crap show.
I
I
can't
just
see it being worse than 2, The Exorcist 2. I mean, come on now.
All right, so listen, let me just tell you something because I know a couple of my buddies, if they're not in the live chat right now, and if they watch the replay, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, Knight, she said it. She said it." I listen, Exorcist 2 is not a good movie, but for some reason, I don't mind it. And I think it's
I don't mind
because
it.
I think it's because when I was a kid, I was just at a certain age, like I had seen the first one, scared the crap out of me, and they were playing it on TV, and I was just I don't know, I was just now I know it's not a great movie, but for some reason, I don't hate it.
I agree with you. I don't hate it. I mean, 3
Yeah.
was better.
Oh,
Um,
3 was really good. Oh my god. I love
yeah.
George C. Scott.
Yeah, 3 was better. It's not like it's a really horrible film, number 2, but I don't think it
Right.
can be any worse.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Good point. So this new movie definitely will be better, or at least I think will be better than 2. It's also going to be better than the prequels. I didn't really get into the prequels. What was it? God, The Exorcist, the beginning, or whatever it was called. Because there were 2 prequels that had come out after 3, and like, oh man, I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I wasn't a fan of those, not at all. Um, Double feature said, "Who could forget the crucifix scene?" Right? I know.
Yeah.
Talk about nightmares. Whew. Um, Neil was saying, interesting fact about The Exorcist. Friedkin had said he didn't really consider it a
Nope.
horror film. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Yep, that's true. Mitch saying, I think what makes The Exorcist a classic is that the story isn't too big. The stakes are mostly a mother, her daughter, and a priest. No one seems to make small stories anymore. That's a great
Yeah.
point. That is a
Mhm.
great point.
That is an awesome point.
And they took their time with it. I mean, you had Father Karras dealing with his faith. He's losing his
Yep.
faith. He's trying to take care of his sick mother. Like that's in a horror film, right? And then of course you have the whole thing going on with Reagan, and not knowing why she's acting the way she is. And of course, they're going to try to use medicine, and they're trying this and they're trying that, and nothing's working. So it's like that was kind of like, so Chris has to figure out, how do I help my daughter? And then of course, for a little bit of it, you have um Father Marin, who
Mhm.
dealt with Pazuzu, a while back, and now faced with it again. And it's kind of like, okay, so it's kind of like this fight that he always knew he had to have at some point. So there's all these things playing in this movie, and you don't really even get to the possession, or I should say the exorcism type of stuff, until the end of the
Yeah.
movie, the last third of the movie, like 30 minutes of it, 25 minutes of it, whatever. So but that's because it was such a good movie, a good story, good character development, and, yeah, that's why it stands the test of time, in my opinion.
It's a good
Let's
opinion.
see. Yeah, well, I think so. Sarah's in the chat. What's up, Sarah? Good to see you, saying, "Hey, friends, sorry I'm late." Hey, don't worry about it. We're all here just hanging out. Neil saying, "We're gonna write you up, though." Okay, all right. You're too funny. Let's see. Now, Eric is saying, being a gamer, in your opinion, what horror video game that you have played would you like to see as a TV series or a film?
Alan Wake.
Ooh, all right.
I really Alan Wake 2 is coming out in October. I love the storyline of Alan Wake. But a lot of the horror games I play are like puppet combo games. Rewind or Die would be a great short horror film. I don't think you could really make a TV series out of it.
Hmm.
Murder House, which is another puppet combo game. It could be another short film.
Mm,
I do play a lot of indie films, indie horror titles, and a lot of them are inspired by horror films and TV series. And I
mhm.
think Alan Wake is a really good storyline. And then I can't wait to see what Alan Wake 2 has.
Nice. Very, very cool. I wish I could, I used to love gaming. In the last couple of years, I've just had so little time to do it. But anytime I see someone else, especially as a content creator, that is really big into it, enjoying it, and like on the cusp of it, I'm always like, oh, you're so lucky. But it's so cool, you know what I mean? It's awesome. Very, very
It's a
cool.
lot of fun. I'm really excited for Texas Chainsaw Massacre tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, do you think now they are being very transparent, saying
Yeah.
what happened to Friday the 13th will not happen to them. So because I loved
Well,
Friday the 13th, the game.
Friday the 13th was my jam. That
Yes.
it's still my favorite game to this day. I still play it. And it's all
Mhm,
because of Sean. He did a cease and desist. So they
mhm.
had to stop all
Yeah.
updates and anything. And for a business to have to stop production for a year, 2, 3 years, why are you going as a business? Why are you going to keep holding on to that and then losing that money? So
Yeah.
even though I hated the idea of Friday the 13th no longer getting DLCs or updates, I understood why.
Mhm.
And Gun Media is they are great people. They are horror fans, and they do the games justice. They do a really good job of it.
Yeah, I mean that game is just so freaking cool. It is, man. So I'm really excited about TCM as well. So I'll definitely be curious to hear your thoughts on it, and kind of
I
getting
can't wait.
your yeah. I'll be
I
really
did the
interested
play
to see what you
test and
think.
I had a lot of fun. I don't, in my opinion, I don't think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to outbeat my love for Friday the 13th,
Hmm.
because it is my number one game, and I'm really sad that in December of 2024 that'll be it. There's no more.
Hmm. Yep.
But I
Yep.
still think it's going to be a great game, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Nice. That's very, very cool. Well, I'm excited too. All right. Now, speaking of Friday 13th, because I could literally talk about Friday 13th all night, but
Hmm.
what are your thoughts or hopes, fears, concerns, or what have you for the Crystal Lake show?
Well, I love the fact that they have the licensing to use everything. They can
Yes,
use everything from the films because it's a
that's right.
TV show and not an actual another film.
Hmm.
I don't really need huge long ass backstories on Pamela.
Hmm.
I would like to see some stuff about Pamela. I would love to learn more about Crystal Lake. See, I think Crystal Lake had a curse or something upon it
Hmm.
before Jason's death. Because Crazy Ralph, I would love to know more.
Yes.
I would love that. I would love to see a small backstory on Crazy Ralph and how he became Crazy Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would like to see, and whether or not we get it, I have no idea, but I would
Right.
love to see a backstory on Camp Crystal Lake.
Hmm.
There had to be a curse on it because Pamela didn't just go to, get into some dark magic and do a curse on the lake. There had
Yeah.
to be something there to bring Jason back because he's a revenant zombie. He's not a zombie.
Hmm.
He's a revenant zombie, and he's not
Hmm.
a deadite. I'm not a deadite. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Um, that was for the money. That was for the money, and they both can be kicked in the dick for that one. But anyways,
Wait, wait, are
I'm
we?
very passionate about that part.
Oh, are we kind of talking about Jason Goes to Hell a little bit here?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to I wanted to make sure
Jason
because
Goes to Hell is one of my least favorites. And
oh man.
the
Listen,
fact that they wanted to make money and they did a comic book on it.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
Listen. Now people in the chat and I'm so I wish my buddy Eric was here because he knows I really have big issues with friggin' Jason Goes to Hell. It was a movie I went to in the theater. I was so hyped for it because it's Jason. I'm a huge Friday 13th fan, and I was of that
Mhm.
age. I could go to a movie theater. I should have known as soon as I went into that theater and saw three people and I live in a big city. 3 people in the theater. I should have known that it was a recipe for disaster. And I have so many issues with that movie. They just kind of farted all over the mythology. Now he's got a sister and there's a mystical dagger and I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
He's not a
You know,
worm. Like,
I
what the
know.
shit?
The
What the shit?
Necronomicon is showing up. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I know they wanted to try something different,
Well,
but
the
damn it.
director, the only and the only reason why I know this is because I watched an interview with the
Yeah.
director a long time ago before the whole the comic book, right?
Yes,
And he
yes.
said he borrowed the items just to have in the film because he wanted to nod to the Evil Dead franchise, and it had technically had nothing to really do with Jason Goes to Hell.
Yes.
And then we hear the rumor of him being a Deadite because Sean wanted monies. And while this comic book that came out, Freddie versus Ash Williams, oh, the blah. Anyways,
Yes.
they're like, oh, yeah, Jason's a Deadite. No, go fuck yourself. Jason is not a Deadite.
Oh, I love it. I'm gonna have to use this for like a little clip or something because my good buddy Eric, we always go back and forth about this because he loves the movie. He knows I've got big issues with it. Anytime I've talked about the
There's lots of
franchise,
issues with
yeah,
Hell.
yeah, there's a lot of issues. I know he's gonna watch this and he's gonna be like, "Okay, Knight, you really got her going on it. You didn't have to keep going."
Yeah,
But
oh yeah.
but you know, that being said, and I'll be fair because you know, I am a Jason fan. There are moments in it that are, you know, and there's practical effects and you know, there's a
Oh, hell
couple nice
yes.
kills. And it was good seeing Kane in there, you know, kind of poking fun at himself and stuff. Like, okay, that was cool. So yada yada yada.
Oh, it did have some really cool elements to it.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a couple
Mhm.
cool kills. But you know what? Now let me go back on the other side because they know they were copying elements from The Hidden, which is a
Oh my
great.
God, The Hidden, yes.
Do you remember that? Like
That's
that's what
one
they
of my
got it
nightmare
from.
movies. The Hidden is
Yes.
one of my nightmare movies. It makes me gag every time I friggin' watch it.
Well, because of when the alien comes
Ugh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's rough. It's rough.
Especially that hospital scene where he's holding it. Oh my
Yes.
Lord.
I know. That was a good one. That was a good one. Good practical stuff in that too.
Yeah,
Uh
very.
these guys in the live chat, they're like, what the hell is going on here? What are we talking about? It's all good. But real quick, I want to say, Sarah, thank you so much. She has gifted some memberships in the live chat. And for you guys that received it, that is awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. You're always so supportive and so amazing. And I can't thank you enough. So thank you. And for you guys that are now channel members, welcome. And we'll be doing some really fun stuff. Actually, this weekend we're going to be doing a members only hangout and watch party. So very cool, very cool. Um, all right. So now that I'm all off on that Jason Goes to Hell stuff, that was funny that you said it. Oh my gosh. You and I didn't make you say it. I didn't make you say
Nope.
it. You said it on your own. So all right. So, another question that came up that it was another one that I was thinking of too is, do you have a favorite version of Jason, like through all the movies, either, you know, an actor or, you know, how he's portrayed in the movie or what have you?
My favorite is part 3. That's his.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's my Jason. I
Richard Brooker.
part. Yep, part 3 is my favorite out of the franchise. I do like 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I also like Jason Lives. I thought CJ Graham did a really good job as
Mm-hmm.
Jason, so I enjoyed him. I mean, everybody loves Kane Hodder because
Mm-hmm.
he did from what New Bloodline and up.
Yep.
Um, and he did a great Jason. He did a
Mm-hmm.
great Jason. He's not my overly favorite, but he did a good Jason. He brought I think every actor and stunt actor that played Jason brought something to the character. Even though he's really
Yeah.
doesn't talk much, it's a lot of body language and breathing. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe they each brought something to his character.
Yeah, I
But
agree.
part 3.
Yeah, man. Part 3. First of all, I love part 3. I actually just did a video the other week where I was just talking about, you know, Chris as a final girl. You know, the things that she went through and how she's very underrated, even in the franchise, even by fans of
Oh
Friday
yeah.
13th. And I love 3. It's got so much charm. And when I was a kid, anytime I had whether it was a nightmare or whatever, and when I thought of Jason, Richard Brooker's Jason is the one that I thought of because that,
Yeah.
you know, that, and I always say it, these guys know what I'm about to say, but that mask that Shelley brought was so crisp and nice looking, and the way he moved, and he just had a great physicality to him. And yeah, I definitely really enjoy Richard Brooker as
Yeah,
well.
and I
Yeah.
also like the look of CJ Graham's Jason, hence the, Tommy Jarvis saying maggot face. That was a pretty gruesome, and that's what you would expect Jason to look like, especially being in the ground with the maggots
Right.
and the worms and the,
Hmm.
decaying body. That was
Yep.
another really good look. And Uber Jason, Jason X. I really love Jason
Yeah.
X.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love Jason X as well, and I think the design of Uber Jason was so great. Although Kane
Yeah.
said he couldn't move at all in the
Yeah.
outfit.
He
He
had a
hated
hard
the
time.
outfit, but he thought it looked awesome. But Yeah,
I
very,
would
very
love to
cool.
see an Earth 2. I would love to see a takeoff from Jason X because, at the
Yeah.
end, Jason landed on Earth 2.
Yeah.
So where's
I
our film? Damn
Yeah,
it.
I know. I know. It's too bad because I think that there's a lot of people that have come around on Jason X as far as like it's become like kind of like a little bit of
Yeah.
a cult following, you know. I
Oh,
thought it
yeah.
was fun. Yeah,
Yeah. I
very, very
loved it.
cool.
I thought it was a great film.
Yeah, very, very cool. Eric, okay, so Eric, it was you and Creep that got the memberships. That's very, very cool. Very, very
Awesome.
cool. You guys are all right, seriously. And thank you for reminding people. Definitely hit the like button if you haven't already. And also make sure that you subscribe to Cat's channel. If you haven't, it just takes a couple of seconds to do that, and you will not be disappointed. Very, very cool. So let me also ask you this. We're heading to that ending point because I don't want to keep you on here all night. I want to respect your time. Um, but with your YouTube channel and your YouTube journey, are there anything or is there anything that has surprised you, whether it be good or bad, that you'd want to share not only with the audience, but for also for other content creators, especially newer content creators?
Don't give up.
Ooh, yeah.
Somebody's going to watch your shit, right? Like when I started making videos and live streams, I didn't think anybody was going to watch me. I'm nobody special.
Mhm,
And when I built my channel, I didn't even have that in mind. And then I was just hoping people were going to like my stuff when I did start taking my YouTube seriously.
mhm.
Um, don't give up. Content creation can be very hard and it can be very disheartening, especially when you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into a video and it only gets like 5 views. That's
Mhm,
5 views, guys. It's 5 views. It's still pretty good.
mhm,
That's my don't get disheartened, don't get discouraged, and don't give up. Make your video better than the one previously and just keep
mhm.
at it. Practice makes perfect. And I think that's in anything because I know when I started out, I was fumbling all over the place with the ums and the like, oh, what I'm gonna say next. And I learned that writing a script helps, memorizing what I want to say. And I
Yeah.
guarantee when you first started, you were probably fumbling around like, what the frig am I doing? And blah blah. Right. So
Yes.
just don't give up. Don't give up. People will watch your shit. They will.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, in the beginning, you're trying to find your way. You know what I mean? You're trying to find your
Yeah.
way, and it's a process. It's a process, and I definitely agree. You just can't give up. You just can't give up. Just keep on doing what you got to do. All right. Now let's see. Real quick, as we get ready to wind on down here, for you guys in the chat, thank you so much for hanging out. We really appreciate it. And you guys have had so many great questions, and I know we couldn't get to all of them, but maybe if we're really, really lucky, and I hope so, maybe at some point in the future, Kat would be gracious enough to join us again and hang out for a little bit.
I would
Um,
love to.
oh, well,
This is
thank you.
fun. I love chatting horror. It's such a good time. And I'm
Oh.
with horror fans, like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is um a great community and some of these folks, like I said, they're content creators themselves and have been around and obviously frequent other channels. So it's a really cool group and they appreciate talking about movies. And I mean, I love it too. It's great. It's absolutely great. Um Danny saying, "Oh yeah, Danny was saying, are you a fan of the Chucky TV show? And are you hoping that you have any hopes for season 3?"
I like the TV show, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I honestly think it's overrated. Um,
Ooh, okay.
I'm a Chucky fan. Don't get me wrong. I've got my collection over there of Chucky. I love Child's Play. I enjoyed the 2019 film, Child's Play. I honestly think it should have been named something else. The TV show is good. I
Uh-huh.
do like it. I don't know. I think it just gets overhyped.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. I watch it. I'm in Canada, so I kind of have to watch it via a VPN because we Canadians get screwed. But I liked what they did in season 2, especially with the whole nod to The Exorcist, because that was
Mhm.
pretty awesome.
Mhm. Mhm. Very cool. All right. All right. Well, I think we're gonna get ready to end there. Thank you guys so much. Um, serial killer.
That's my
We should.
brother from another mother right there. We fight
Nice.
because he's a Michael Myers and I'm a Jason Voorhees, and he thinks Michael's better. Michael's a window licker.
Oh man, now wait a minute. All right, hold on. I mean, because I got him right here. You see, now I'm a fan of both, but I mean, ultimately, Friday 13th
Yeah.
is my number one franchise. But I
Mhm.
do love the Halloween franchise. I
Oh,
mean,
Halloween's
it,
great.
the mythology itself. But let me ask you this. I know I keep saying I'm gonna let you go, and I will.
No.
But who, as far as horror icons, what's your Mount Rushmore? Your 4 horror icons at the top of the heap.
Oh, my 4 at the top. Obviously, there's Jason and there is Leatherface, there is Pinhead. And I'm going to have to say that now I'm really loving Art the Clown.
Ooh,
I know he's a
really?
newer icon.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching Art the Clown in the horror shorts before he even made Halloween and Halloween Eve and all of that
Mm-hmm.
fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but he doesn't get enough love. Everybody goes for the iconics, and you
Mm-hmm.
can't blame them because the
Right.
iconics, let me tell you, they are gods in the genre.
Mm-hmm.
But Art the Clown is the new generation icon villain. We have
Mm.
Ghostface. I mean, I also like Captain Spaulding as well. He's another one of my
Yes.
kindreds. I love Captain Spaulding and I love the Devil's Rejects.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but my top, that would be my top 4.
Wow. Okay, so we got Jason, we've got Pinhead, we've got Art, and we
Leatherface
got
and
Leatherface.
Art.
Wow. Now, I've asked that question to a lot of friends, a lot of people on the panel, and yours might be the most unique collection. I like that. And
Thanks.
I am a fan. You're welcome, and I am a fan of art, and I definitely think now my opinion of it is, and David Howard Thornton has been amazing in his portrayal of art. Let me just
Oh,
put that
yes.
out there too, and I think Terrifier 2 was just like wow, what the I
Yes.
mean, we're bringing back practical effects like crazy, baby, and I love it.
Mhm.
But in my mind, and we know they're working on 3. In my mind, if 3 can be as good as 1 and 2, then for me anyways, then that's when he'll kind of rise up to that upper level.
Yep.
But just based on the character itself, I definitely think he's iconic, and he's
Oh,
proven
yeah.
that through the shorts and these 2 movies. So that's a really cool answer.
I
Now,
I Thank
no, go
you.
ahead.
I think for this generation, this era of the 2020s, the
Mhm.
2019, I think he is that icon. I think he is that
Mm.
villain for that era. This new generation of horror fans, that's their icon. We had numerous in the 80s and then the
Yeah.
90s, right? They had their Candyman, which I love
Mhm.
Candyman. And then
Yes.
in what we have your Ghostface for the later on. So
Mhm.
you have your horror villain icons throughout almost every era, and
Yep.
I think for this chunk of the 2000s, it's Art the Clown.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I
I don't think
definitely
he gets
think
enough
he's
love as a horror icon.
yeah, I think he's definitely like I said, right on that cusp, but definitely should be like getting that spotlight put on him because those especially those 2 movies, obviously when we talk about, theatrical and him solely being the character focused on. Wow, I really enjoyed Terrifier 1 and 2, and they were different from each
Same.
other.
Yeah.
They were different, and I really enjoyed that too, man. Damien, as a director, just really did a hell of a job. But
Yeah.
Pinhead is also on your list. Now,
Yes. The
I
Hell
and
Priest.
and I know, and like I said, I know I gotta let you go, but just out of curiosity, because my opinion, and this is another one I've talked about a lot on the channel, because Hellraiser has frustrated me so much as a franchise. And here's the reason why. I absolutely love the original. And I think 2 arguably is as good, maybe
I love
even
to.
better than the first.
We get to know more.
3 3 was pretty good, but then it just kinda started to, "Woo, what are
The
we doing?"
wheels fell off
We
after
went into
3.
space. Look, Jason is the only one that could go into space, people, okay? So you can't you're a demon from hell, and you're going to space. What is going on, So, for a long time, I really wasn't big on Hellraiser because I think they just couldn't live up to the the what the character could be, what those
Yeah.
movies could have been. But I will say the new one on Hulu, was it? Hulu, I think it was. That wasn't
Yes.
too bad.
Jamie
That-
Jamie Lee Clayton,
yeah,
she did an amazing job, I think, as the Hell Priest.
I
I
think so
really
too.
liked it. I enjoyed Hellraiser 2022,
Yeah, yeah.
21.
I was really impressed. I'm like, okay, we're back. It's about time. Gosh. Anyways, very cool Mount Rushmore. For you guys in the chat, we're gonna get ready to head on out. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Leave some comments. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure that you subscribe to Kat's channel. The link is in the description. We've also had the link in the live chat. Kat, first of all, I'm going to have you hold on for 1 second while I
Yeah.
play the outro. So we'll meet backstage for just a quick second. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy life to hang out with me and this wonderful audience here. I really do appreciate it because I know that we've all got life going on. So
We definitely do. But I am very appreciative of your time and energy and your community's time and energy to come here and share that with us here. Thank you. It was an honor to be on your show and I had a blast. So thank you so very much. And to the Night Express, the community over here, thank you guys for showing up in force. Like, seriously, thank you. And you all need to have a round of applause for the amazing questions and the continuation engagement in the chat. Very well done.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that too. And so you guys, look, have a good night. Watch some horror movies. You guys know the drill, and we will catch you guys next time. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys.